So, the Dogman movie releases this month, and judging by the trailers, it seems like it's going to be based mostly on the first 3 books. So, naturally, in preparation, I read those books. And now, you don't have to. You can just watch this video and I'll fill you in on everything you need to know before watching Dogman. So, who, or what, is Dogman exactly? Well, it's simple. There was this kung fu cop named Officer Knight and his partner, a dog named Greg with expert detective skills due to his mega sniffing nose. One day, they're trying to defuse a bomb, but fail. In the end, the bomb blew up and the only parts that survived are the cop's body and the dog's head. So, naturally, the doctor sewed the dog's head onto the cop's body, and Dogman was born. A fairly gruesome origin story for such a silly character, but it's so cartoony that you can't take it seriously. Dogman is sent after Petey, a known cat criminal and the one who actually made the bomb that created Dogman in the first place. Petey creates a giant vacuum to scare off Dogman, since, you know, dogs are afraid of vacuums. His plan almost works, but Dogman was clever enough to lead Petey and his giant vacuum to the ocean, where the vacuum bag expands massively, and does manage to suck up Dogman, but not before Petey accidentally rips the bag open, creating a giant wave. Dogman saves Petey from drowning while simultaneously arresting him. The whole police squad thanks Dogman, calling him a hero. And that's the end of Chapter 1. Chapter 2 begins with Chief, the chief of the police, being threatened to be replaced if he doesn't get better at his job. However, Dogman happens to overhear the mayor talking about an evil plan, and witnesses her meeting some evil scientist guy named Dr. Scum. Their plan begins with breaking Petey out of jail by giving him invisible spray, which they then blame on Chief, creating an excuse to replace him with a robot. Then, the mayor and Dr. Scum create a bunch of evil businesses. Petey, however, doesn't quite like other villains moving in on his territory, so he begins haunting the stores, all thanks to the invisible spray provided to him by the mayor. She sends Robo-Chief after Petey, but Petey uses Robo-Chief's own attacks to blow up the mayor's stores. Hey look, DreamWorks' other major children's book adaptation gets a cameo. He then tricks Robo-Chief into blowing itself up, using a corkscrew slide. The mayor then enlists the help of Dogman to catch Petey, and he uses his super dog nose to sniff him out. He finds him, but Petey manages to just barely evade him. But then Dogman has an idea. He runs over to a nearby kiddie pool, douses himself, then shakes the water off all over Petey, removing the invisible spray before finally catching him. As the mayor thanks him in front of the whole city, Dogman plays a video of the mayor discussing evil plans with Dr. Scum, getting her arrested. A new mayor is elected, and Dogman gets him to reappoint Chief as the chief of police, ending Chapter 2. Chapter 3 is actually a comic George and Harold made back in 1st grade. If you don't remember, George is the kid on the left with the tie and the flat top, and Harold is the kid on the right with the t-shirt and the bad haircut. They made Dogman, so remember that now. It begins with Petey escaping from cat jail, as he is known to do, and decides to make everyone stupid by getting rid of all reading. This works, and everyone does become incredibly stupid. And at first, everything's coming up Petey. Everyone around town just gives him whatever he wants since they're too stupid to stop him. But then it starts backfiring. Petey can't enjoy anything because everyone's too stupid to do anything right. His favorite TV show became dumb, his mechanics were screwing up his new car, and his own assistant was too stupid to do his duties right. He couldn't even enjoy donuts because the cashier was too stupid to do her job right. Petey was fed up. If one more dumb thing happens, I'm gonna... 2 weeks pass and Petey's life has gone down the drain. He isn't taking care of himself or his space, and he begins to stink, which catches the attention of Dogman, who tracks his secret lab down due to his mega sniffing nose. He finds Petey's secret book stash, reads them, and becomes smarter again. He brings the books to a school and gets the kids smart again. Petey takes notice and tries to stop this, but gets absolutely bodied by a bunch of children. Dogman captures him and undoes his work, restoring books and words to the world, and putting an end to the stupidity. And Chapter 3. Chapter 4 starts, as expected, with Petey in jail. He receives a package of living spray. Not spray that's living, but spray that makes things become living. And he uses it on his hot dog, for some reason. He gets the wiener to grab the jail cell keys so he can escape, but after Petey rejects its offer of friendship, it decides to take revenge. Meanwhile, Dogman is up to his usual antics when all of a sudden, he runs off. This is because Petey is rounding up all the dogs in the city using a dog whistle. At the same time, the hot dog begins creating an army of living hot dogs, using Petey's left behind living spray. Petey begins his plan to just straight up kill all the dogs, while the hot dog army realizes they're not feared at all, so the hot dog leader goes to a giant cheesesteak statue and brings it to life to act as their muscle. Dogman manages to trick the hot dog and cheesesteak to break open the cage containing all the dogs, what a sentence, freeing them. The hot dog tries to threaten Dogman, but Dogman, being a dog, just eats him. It drops the living spray can, causing it to explode and destroy the giant cheesesteak, and launching Petey and Dogman away. At the same time, the freed dogs decide to eat the hot dog army. Then, Petey lands in cat jail while Dogman lands back in the police station and everyone celebrates. And that's the end of the first book. I read this for the first time specifically to make a video on it, and I was actually surprised by how much I enjoyed it. It's no Captain Underpants, what is, but it's a pretty solid book with some great humor. Though I'd much prefer a longer story that stretches throughout the whole book rather than 4 smaller stories. Anyway, on to Book 2. Dogman Unleashed. Book 2 starts with all the cops planning a birthday party for Chief. They send Dogman to buy him a fish as a present, making sure to clarify to get an alive one because Dogman loves to roll all over dead fish. They send him to the pet store, but he gets distracted by all the dog toys. He goes to get a fish, but has no money, so they decide to give him an evil fish that arrived on Friday the 13th. After giving it to Dogman, Sarah Hadoff, a famous reporter, comes in to buy a dog and she gives Dogman her business card. At Chief's party, he unboxes his gifts. He got a fish, who he names Flippy, and some Super Brain Dots that make you smarter. Unfortunately, he spills the Super Brain Dots into Flippy's bowl without realizing it, turning him into a genius. Later, Dogman gets sent to a pet store robbery at the pet store. While trying to help, he keeps getting distracted by all the dog toys. But Sarah Hadoff realizes that the person who tied them up looks a lot like Petey, thanks to a secret photo she took. This is weird because Petey is still in jail. In order to escape, Petey creates a paper version of him, pretending he got flat Stanley'd, and slips out the jail cell door while he's being checked on, which emotionally destroys the guard, who starts hysterically crying, surprising Petey. But he quickly gets a hold of himself and finishes escaping as the guard calls an ambulance. Thanks to a hilarious miscommunication, they take Flat Petey to a witch doctor to try and save him, who sprays him with living spray. They try to then take Flat Petey to jail, but he escapes because of course he does. The witch doctor tries to stop him by using obey spray, but it backfires, giving Flat Petey control of the witch doctor instead. Later, Dogman gets a call from Sarah Hadoff explaining that the pet store robber didn't steal money, just treasure chests. Petey reads this news and decides to bait his imposter with his own treasure chest, and uses a love ray to get people to give him treasure. The imposter sees this while he's trying to use fake money to get a giant castle, which doesn't work, obviously, so he decides to go after Petey with his telekinetic powers to steal his treasure. Dogman also decides to go after Petey, fighting him on top of his giant treasure chest. He manages to knock Petey off, and Petey runs away to cat jail to escape the mob of the strangers who are madly in love with him. But, at the same time, Flat Petey has the witch doctor make a giant T-Rex skeleton come to life and work for him to destroy Dogman. It chases Dogman around for a while, until Dogman is reminded of the fact that the skeleton is just bones, and Dogman loves bones. So, he starts licking the dinosaur, which tickles it. This makes the T-Rex Dogman's friend, defeating it, since laughter undoes the effects of obey spray. Gotta love Dav Pilkey and his random Deus Ex Machina rules. But the day's not saved yet. Petey may have been defeated and Flat Petey may have been defeated, but there's still Imposter Petey to deal with. He throws a bunch of random, obsolete items at the giant treasure chest that's now Flat Petey's, but Sarah Hadoff's dog runs up and pulls the coat off the imposter, revealing it to be Flippy using a bunch of Chief's stuff in order to appear as human. But while Flippy was explaining his backstory, Flat Petey stole the treasure chest and went up a mountain. Flippy and the cops both chase after him, heading higher and higher. This causes Flippy's bowl to freeze solid, and he would be defeated if it wasn't for the witch doctor dropping his book on body snatching, allowing Flippy to escape his own body and try to steal Chief's. Though, when Dogman sees Flippy's consciousness as just a ball of light, a ball of light, he starts playing with it, protecting Chief until Flippy's consciousness fades away. Then, as Flat Petey tries to escape, Dogman licks him, which freezes him solid, and they use him as a snowboard to get down the mountain before they all freeze. When they get to the bottom, the witch doctor, whose obey spray wore off and is now in control of his actions, creates a living pair of scissors to defeat Flat Petey once and for all. In the end, the Chief thanks Dogman for giving him the best birthday ever, ending Book 2. This is an improvement over the first book. First of all, it's one continuous story rather than a bunch of smaller ones. It feels like Dav knew what he wanted this series to be a bit more in this one. I also love Dogman as a character. I think he's adorable, and I love that he's constantly getting distracted by dog toys and whatnot. Flippy's fine as a villain, pretty forgettable, but he serves his role. Petey's much better. Now on to Book 3. Book 3 begins with the Chief coming in to announce that he and Dogman were featured in the newspaper as heroes. Then, he sends Dogman to protect the scientists that are studying Flippy's brain, but another officer points out that it might not be the best idea considering Dogman's known love for rolling around all over dead fish, but Chief seems to think that it'll be fine. Meanwhile, Petey escapes from cat jail once again by tricking Big Jim and stealing his balloons. When he gets back to his lab, he realizes he needs a new assistant, someone who's just like him. He gets the brilliant idea to clone himself. So he buys a cloning machine and starts the process of making a clone, using one of his whiskers, only to realize that the clone comes out as a kitten. This kitten's named Lil Petey, and thinks Petey is his dad, or Papa. Petey is immediately overcome with regret, realizing the massive responsibility he just accidentally created for himself. Meanwhile, Dogman is trying to help the scientist studying Flippy, but destroys Flippy by rolling around on him. Because of course. But this gives the doctors an idea, and they get to work on rebuilding Flippy, making him better, faster, stronger, and fishier. After they complete the operation, Flippy is now a bionic superfish, but due to a series of hilariously unfortunate events, his body goes flying out the window, picked up by a bird, and dropped into a living spray factory. At the same time, Petey is struggling to adapt to his new life as a parent, getting more and more frustrated by Lil Petey and his antics, like him asking why constantly. Eventually, he gets so fed up that he decides to get rid of Lil Petey. He puts him in a box that says "Free Kitty" and takes him out to find someone to take him off his hands. But Lil Petey refuses to cooperate. Lil Petey goes to find a bathroom while Petey isn't looking, and Petey uses this opportunity to abandon him, leaving Lil Petey all alone with nothing but his box. So, Lil Petey takes his box elsewhere, going to sleep right in front of the police station. At his lab, Petey's starting to realize he misses having Lil Petey around, and that he heavily regrets his decision to get rid of Lil Petey. He goes out searching for him, calling his name all over the city, but can't find him. Eventually, he returns to his lab and finds a comic book Lil Petey made for him, making him even sadder. Later, Dogman stumbles across Lil Petey all alone outside the police station and decides to take him home after all potential owners show they aren't good fits for him. He gives him a bed, brushes his teeth, and puts him to sleep. But then, Petey uses his new robot to track down Lil Petey, leading him right to Dogman's house. He kidnaps Lil Petey and takes him back to his lair. Once he wakes up, Lil Petey starts bothering Petey yet again, this time by constantly talking about Dogman. Petey tries to teach Lil Petey that Dogman is bad using puppets, but Lil Petey gets distracted and eventually falls asleep while cuddling with the Dogman puppet. Then, Dogman wakes up and realizes Lil Petey's gone, so he goes searching for him. Meanwhile, at the living spray factory, the workers accidentally expose Flippy to the living spray gas, causing him to come back to life. At the same time, Petey introduces Lil Petey to the new robot, AD-Hexatron Droid Formagon, or as he calls it, ADHD. It's a super robot that can do almost anything, but Lil Petey wants to play childish games with it. Eventually, he gets Lil Petey to climb inside, but this also backfires. Meanwhile, Flippy starts creating an army of evil buildings to do his bidding. This causes the police to spring into action and put a stop to them. They use a lot of clever tactics to get the buildings to fall over, which catches the attention of Petey. Lil Petey knows his Dogman is in trouble and goes out to help him, leaving Petey in the dirt, exclaiming that they're supposed to be bad guys. Just as a building is about to eat Dogman, Lil Petey uses ADHD to save him. Then, he destroys the rest of the buildings. Unfortunately, Flippy uses his telekinesis to send ADHD flying, destroying it. Lil Petey is okay though. Flippy pledges to kill the Robo-Cat no matter what, so Petey makes the tough decision to get into the ADHD suit and distract Flippy while everyone else gets to safety. Lil Petey sees Flippy's about to kill Petey, and he springs into action and steals Chief's car, with Dogman in hot pursuit on a hang glider. Lil Petey manages to get through to Flippy by getting him to open up about the source of his evilness, and they become friends. This causes Flippy's telekinetic powers to fade, and Petey begins dropping from the sky. He accepts his death, but Dogman manages to save him anyway, and arrest him while he's at it. Flippy goes to jail, but becomes pen pals with Lil Petey. Petey manages to trick Chief and leave him handcuffed to a traffic light while he makes his escape. Lil Petey goes home with Dogman, where Dogman takes care of him, and that's the end of Book 3. Book 3 is my favorite so far. I love the Petey and Lil Petey storyline. I don't get how anyone could hate Lil Petey. He's just so cute. Flippy is basically as compelling as he was in Book 2, so not very. But I like the ending he gets here, so it was worth bringing him back. But yeah, there you have it. That's everything you need to know about Dogman before the movie, I think. I haven't seen the movie or read the rest of the books yet, but I will. I'll hopefully have my review of the movie up in February, so subscribe and like the video if you want to see that. That's really all I have to say. See you in the next video.